Welcome to today's episode of Forward Thinking Founder Stories, brought to you by Fox Williams. Our Founder Stories series shines a light on the remarkable journeys of underrepresented founders. As part of our ongoing efforts to support diverse entrepreneurial talent, we've created a platform where these inspiring people share their stories, lessons learned, and the unique challenges they've overcome. Throughout this series, we'll delve into the personal business journeys of our guests, explore pivotal moments that shape their success, and uncover invaluable insights for other aspiring entrepreneurs. In today's episode, we're joined by Danielle, founder of My Skin Feels. She shares her story and journey to becoming a founder. We hope you find this conversation as inspiring as we did when recording it. Now, without further ado, let's get into it.
My name's Danny and I'm the founder of My Skin Feels.
Lovely, great to meet you, Danny. So Danny, can you tell us about your journey to becoming a founder?
Yes, so it's a 15-year journey. I was part of the founding Charlotte Tilbury team, which is a big beauty brand, when I was very, very young. And I've been in the beauty industry for 15 years, so I've seen how unsustainable the industry is, like inside and out across all areas. And I basically created the brand to prove if I can be more sustainable by myself, what are we doing? So it's been a bit of it's sort of a love letter to the beauty industry, but also trying to push it forward in a way that it needs to. But yes, it's been a long journey.
Amazing. And are there any sort of key pivotal moments or breakthroughs that you can kind of pinpoint in your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, the brand is made from food waste. So it's actually made from tomato ketchup, olive oil, breakfast oats and orange juice, which I know sounds like a crazy salad that you'd never eat, but it's really good for your skin. And all the food waste is fermented.
Yeah.
It's in Whole Foods. That's amazing. That was a pivotal moment. And really the day-to-day stuff I think is really pivotal. I really launched the brand ground up by myself, and I do a lot of markets and pop-ups, and talking to people in real life and getting their feedback in real life I think is the most amazing thing. It's not all about TikTok.
And thinking sort of long term, what are your goals for the business? What do you hope for the brand?
So many things. So we've actually just launched our first food product. So it's like beauty inside and out, and it's a rescued food product. But what I want to do is incorporate more seasonal food into the products, and it kind of becomes more of a lifestyle brand. The other thing is, the reason it's called My Skin Feels is I actually do another job where I'm a psychic medium. And the reason it's called My Skin Feels is I see so many clients that are not tuned into their feelings, and for me, going home and washing the day off is about getting you back to yourself, so you can be more conscious of yourself and the planet and others, and it becomes a whole sustainable thing. So really incorporating both my worlds feels really important, and as the product the product collection expands, so will that messaging, and I think that's really cool too.
Yeah, fantastic. And what are your biggest challenges that you faced, particularly as a female founder perhaps?
It's interesting because I've only ever worked for females.
Wow,
and I
great.
always get asked this, and I've only ever worked for females. That's obviously something in my energy where I'm only working for females. And I've worked with really, really strong females who have masculine energy, but they're strong. So I've learned from the best about how that just doesn't bother me. I was taught really early on that no is not an answer, and I really go by that. So as a female founder, I haven't had that much backlash around that. The hardest thing that no one tells you about is being a single female founder. So living on my own and doing this all on my own, I have no one else in the business, and going home and having to cook and having to clean and actually look after yourself, that is really hard. Most people have a partner or a housemate or a husband or whatever, or a girlfriend, whatever. That is the bit where it's wow, this is exhausting, but it's great.
So it's the stuff around.
It's the stuff around
the
it.
business.
Yeah, the business itself is fun and exciting, and I can do whatever. But it's the life around it. That's the bit that's really hard.
Yeah, I think that's
which people do tell you about.
Yeah.
But not the single part of it. There's no one there to make a cup of tea, and that is oh my god, I'm so tired. But no, as a female founder, I've only had one issue where I was that's because I'm a female, but other than that, just got to fight through.
And obviously beauty, super competitive market, crowded space. How do you go about sort of creatively marketing or carving out your own niche?
Well, it looks very different.
Yes.
So the whole thing is I need it to stand out as a disruptor brand. It needs to look different, it needs to feel different. I'm not telling people to use my products to change how you look. That's not what I'm about. I'm about changing how you feel. Made from rescued food is a whole new category in itself. It's only going to become bigger as well. But I think having a very distinctive brand look and feel is the way that is done. The boxes are very memorable. And then because I'm on the ground meeting people often meet me and associate me with the brand, and that becomes more of a face to a brand. So you're not just someone hiding behind Instagram, you're actually out there, and I'm very transparent with the journey. So on all my socials I literally take you on the whole journey, because if I'm watching a brand I kind of want to see that too, and you feel invested. So definitely the rescued food, definitely the look and feel, definitely the fact that I'm not a big corporate brand trying to make millions of pounds. I'm here to make people feel better. That is really what I'm passionate about.
Amazing. And do you have any sort of personal experience with imposter syndrome? Is that something that resonates for you? Or
Yeah, interestingly more in my psychic mediumship.
Okay,
yeah, it's wild. I think the Charlotte Tilbury really also bashed that out at me, because again, you can do anything, put your mind to. So not really imposter syndrome. I sometimes get a bit wobbly about like, where is it going, especially around investor chats. It's really interesting because there's so many options and you don't know which one to take, and I turned down a big investment because it didn't feel right, and then after I did that I really did wobble, because I was like, oh, maybe that wasn't the right decision, maybe the brand should be this big corporate brand, or where's it going? And I do wobble around that sometimes because you get fed so much information, but I know where it's going and I know what I want it to do, so you have to block that out, and once you block that out and you have your vision, you're good. But around the psychic mediumship I do wobble, which is a whole other conversation.
So I suppose in a similar vein, failures, setbacks, what's your sort of strategy there? Do you find that you're particularly resilient, or is it something you take hard?
I mean, failure isn't really a thing. I feel like you just got to move around it.
Great.
There was something that happened yesterday that could have been a big failure, and actually you just take it and you move around it and just put another name on it and it's fine. There's no such thing as failure.
That's such a nice mindset. I love that.
You have to go through it, but it does help.
And I mean, how do you approach company cult? Like, I mean, obviously early in your journey for this brand, but what sort of strikes you as being important for your company culture?
Well, I've worked with a lot of brands, but they didn't have company culture, and I've worked in some real stinkers, and so I've seen what I don't want. And for me, and it's interesting, I did a workshop recently I have like an interim person that does MDing, comes in and like helps steer the ship with me, and she was like, what do you want from your staff? I want people to come in, have a nice time and go home, and their home life is more important than their work life. So for me, my culture is not in the business. The culture is like, you get to go home and enjoy your life, and then we come back together and we do this cool thing, and then you go home again. So for me, it's more important that people have a life outside of work. That's what this whole thing is about. And so company culture is about how I would want to be treated, but also giving people the time to have their life. That feels important.
I think that's a really important and wonderful approach.
I don't do it in my own life, but when I have people that come in, that's what I want. I want them to go home, have a nice life.
And I suppose from a like diversity, inclusion perspective, is there anything that you're doing proactively to kind of ensure that you are considering diversity and inclusion in your business?
I mean, at the moment it's just me.
Yes,
when that comes in, definitely 100%. It's really interesting though, like especially in beauty, about male and female energy, because it's a very predominantly female audience. So how do you then include, like especially straight men, how do you get them included in a business that's not targeted towards them? So that is the tricky thing for me. And also finding good people is really hard. It's really a struggle, especially ad hoc work at the moment, people coming in to help me at markets or whatever. And I know that from when I interned at Charlotte. I got in and then I went through the whole process. So I know how much that can work for someone, but it seems hard at the moment to find good people.
I think that's
across the board, right?
Issue that all founders are facing at the moment. And I suppose, just sort of to round us off, is there any sort of advice that you wish you had received, or perhaps advice you wish you hadn't received?
Interesting. I'm trying to think. I always go for the haven't first. Let me see what I wish I hadn't received. I think you just can't take anything to heart. Like, sometimes I'm sampling in places and it's really savage and people are really mean. Someone came up to me and she was like, I hate how it looks. And I was like, hey, how you look? And I was like, no, I don't, you're great. Like, you're fine. And so I think, like, not taking it personally. And when it's your child, literally, it's really hard. But that would be one thing I'd say. And then I think the best piece of advice I'd give anyone is use your intuition. I know I can say that because I'm a psychic medium, but literally, you know what's right for your business. It is its own living energetic thing anyway, and you have to let it move how it wants to move to a certain way, and just trust that you know where it's going. And if it doesn't fit what everyone else thinks it should be, that doesn't matter. Think of all these other disruptive brands, the Body Shop, Lucy and Yak, all these cool brands where they're not listening to the status quo and they're doing their own thing. If your brand is like that, you need to stick with it.
Great advice. I think that's fantastic. And just sort of to round us out, do you think how has this event sort of helped you? Has it given you any clarity?
It has, actually. Yeah. I came in, I'm at the very beginning of a fundraising journey. It's all self-funded, and I'm at a point where we don't need it, but we do need it to make it grow. So it's not like a desperation thing. I still have another job, like I'm paying the bills, but I'd like to be full-time on this. So I was very much in a place of like, what do I do? Do I go down angels? What do you do? And I've come away with like 2 options that feel very interesting to me. And it's been very interesting because I'm one of like a very few consumer brands there. And it's a very different strategy for a consumer brand versus tech. Or a lot of the conversations were like tech and like VC and like whereas mine is like, oh no, we're consumer, we can do it a bit differently. So I've come away thinking crowdfunding is interesting. I've come away thinking Dragon's Den 100% is interesting, which I've applied for.
Great.
And so it's sort of helped to solidify what I want to do right now. Doesn't mean that stuff isn't available in the future, but it's been helped to kind of guide me. Because this is something that you don't get taught, is how to do this. And I'm a marketeer, so I can market anything, but I can't work out this part. Yeah. So it's been useful for that.
Great. Especially
because I'm dyslexic. Okay. So if you're dyslexic and numbers are hard for you, these events are great.
Fantastic. Well, Danny, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
If you're interested in learning more about our upcoming underrepresented female founder events or how you can get involved in this network, please be sure to check out the episode notes for further details.